This is part 6 of the custom knife series. Let's get building. Alright. I moved over to my homemade dust cabinet because the sawdust was tickling my nose and throat. These wood types aren't particularly bad for you, but any kind of fine dust in your system is bad over long term. The dust cabinet has a pegboard surface that leads to a vacuum to pull the dust away, but because of this, it gets loud. Also, the vacuum I'm using is a household vacuum rather than a shop vac, so it's not that strong. Overall, this means the cabinet has to be small but loud, so it's not the easiest place for me to film, but it keeps me and my workshop cleaner, so I should have just used it from the start. Alright, I got a little bit of chipping right here. Hopefully that's within the margin I left around the outside, and it did stray a little bit off course, so now I'm cutting from this side to try to get enough straight down to reset the course. Seems to be working, but hopefully that's not going to be too much of a pain later on. Well, it happened. The saw blade has now tasted human blood. It is now no longer safe to be around other humans. It will go out and seek out to get more blood, so therefore we have to do the responsible thing and we need to put it down.
As I finished the joke, I realized this might be like a very charged political commentary, so that's not what I meant. It's just for laughs, which might make me an insensitive comedian. We're moving on now.
Okay, I've turned it around. I'm scared to see what it's going to look like on the inside. There's like at least 3 times that the blade has strayed off course. So, here's hoping it works. Whoa, okay. It is cut through. I haven't opened it. Time for the grand reveal. How bad, how much am I gonna cry? So that's all good. Where were the problem parts? Oh, right here. Right here's one of them. It does seem like I lost a bit there. Another point is right here. Okay. Okay, let's sand these. I'm slowly making my way with a 150 grit sandpaper on a flat stick so that I'm getting as flat as even a surface as possible. I still have this nick right here that's collecting all the sawdust from when the blade went sideways. So hopefully I can just sand all of that out. I might end up having to sand like everything down to like half the thickness of the original veneer. And this part is not going to be hidden by the wing, so that's unfortunate. I haven't started on this side, but for the most part, I think everything is perfectly salvageable. Okay, both pieces are done. This part got very thin. I can see the walnut underneath. Hopefully that's within error. Lots of fingers crossed. Same with here and here. But for the most part, I believe we're good. I went all the way up to 400 grit. Still got some residue right there, so I'm gonna clean that up. So, alright, I think we're good, finally. So after this, match up the wings, cut them down, cut out the beak slot, and we are well on our way. Cutting the 2 scales apart went as well as it could. I finally get to see the inside pattern. Where I made the extra hole, it looks fine just plugging it with the bare patternless toothpick. So next up I want to do, I want to tape together the 2 wing pieces and finalize the inner edge. That's going to be the edge I have the least access to, so I want to get that over with. And then glue the wings onto the main body. And then after that, it might be onto pre-assembly. I still haven't cut out the beak notch. I still need to drill in the eyepiece hole in there, but cutting the notch is going to be later. After that, glue it together. Once I have eye registry, then drill the hole. And I still haven't decided on the eye, so that's going to be interesting. Alright, so another part that I need to figure out is somehow staining part of the brown-capped rosy finch red, a rosy color, which if I had the wood for it, I'd use it, but I don't. I'm being cheap. So let's see how staining it with some food coloring that I bought at the store a while ago will work. And we'll start at 10 mils water and 1 drop food coloring. This stuff is powerful as far as I know. When you make a droplet, you want to do straight up and down because the angle changes what surface area the droplet is clinging onto, and therefore affects drop size. There, already very dark. Okay, I also need a bit of maple because that's what I have on there. Do I have any smaller pieces? Okay, let's do this half. And yes, that indeed looks red. Try to get a even soaking like you do in normal stains. And let that sit for, I don't know, however long. It's already dry, so I might as well just go to the wiping stage. It does stain. I'll see how well that stands up after it dries. So that's going to be 0 here, 1 here. Let's do 2 and 3 coats on this next one. There's a very distinct difference in color between the two, the first and the second attempt. This one's a lot pinker. So it might be that after it starts drying, it becomes much more of this pink color. So it's so far looking like 1, 2, 3 coats don't really make a difference. It's just going to absorb as much as it does and then it stops. So I can try getting a darker color by concentrating it. I forgot to do this but I intended to. Mix it in ethanol. This one is 91%. So I'm going to go switch this out for ethanol. I'm going to go for 5 mils this time. Mostly because alcohol is more expensive than water. And because I don't want to get it as dilute as before. So it'll be twice as concentrated if the isopropanol doesn't do anything weird. Once again, 1 more drop. Ooh, it is having a much harder time dissolving. I wonder if it's just because it's gel stain. That's the type I got. So the ethanol is causing it to do weird things. I might have to add water to this. Once water concentration is high enough, it might decide it can dissolve. Definitely getting more dissolved. The clump is much smaller than before. So, okay. This might be a failure. I might have to dissolve everything in water first. First I'm going to see if there's any color difference. So the same initial orangey pink color, with the added benefit of drying much faster. And I am now seeing that once it dries, the orangish color does go away and becomes the purplish pink color. I'm gonna add a few more coats to this just to make sure I have. Okay, so I've done a few more tests. I cut into it, and I saw that it doesn't penetrate very deep, so I can sand off layers of it really easily, which means that if it spills over onto other parts, I can selectively get rid of them. It does still rub off a little once it gets wet again. This one, which was the isopropanol, it seems to be retaining its more orangish color. The final finish that I'm going to be using is this. It's a water-based clear coat. It has some alcohol-based solvent in it, so I'm assuming it's going to react pretty similar to this. I also tried adding it onto walnut to see what it looks like, and it just much less of an obvious difference. If anything, this looks like an reddish-orange bloodwood comes to mind. Now the brown cap rosy finch, they do have this like vibrant pink red color to them, so that should be fine. It's just it's scary to potentially have to go and paint something that you've been working on for a long time, so I'll see how it works out. Update on the alcohol versus water test. After it fully dries, the color difference does seem to go away. But because the alcohol makes the dye dissolution finicky, I think I'm gonna stick with water. Okay, one last experiment. I cut out a properly sized piece of fresh veneer so I can get a view of the stain over a larger area. I pre-treated the piece with a pass of isopropyl alcohol to get rid of skin oils that might interfere with even stain absorption. Then, I applied 1, 2, and 3 layers of stain, letting it dry each time, although with a heat gun, because I was impatient. Then I wiped the right half of the test with another pass of isopropanol to simulate the final clear coat being applied. Overall, I think this is the method I'll use on the knife. 1 drop dye in 5 mils water, using 3 coats of stain.